also welcome to all of the people who will watch this replay, because this series, this whole series I'm trying to create here, is based on how I can make games and how do I make games and what you guys can learn from it. So most of the things, let me just increase this audio. So most of the things that we're going to talk about in this series, or I will be doing in this series, is basically developing a game. And while the development, and probably I can make YouTube videos on this, but as much as I will try to make videos, I have to make them smaller, I have to make them much entertaining, much attention and stuff. So just to be away from all of those things and just to be clearly working on a project and showing you guys how to do certain stuff and how do I do certain stuff, I think lives are the best option. So for that reason only, and for some other reasons as well, I'm choosing to do lives, and I will be making a base game, okay, so a demo version, a prototype on the live, and then I will be doing some other developments. I mean, that's kind of like in future. If this live thing does work, I may make the whole game while showing you guys how to make the whole game. Okay? But this is my commercial project, so treat it as a knowledge rather than anything else. Okay, this is just basic knowledge. So hope you guys have a great time over here, and let's get on to the video. And we're going to go over a few things. First of all, let me just show you my screen. First of all, in any game development journey or any game development related, or probably in any project related development or management, yeah, for any project related development you need management. And to do management in game design or game development area, we need a few things. Few as in, I would say you require two things. Firstly, you need a game design document that just contains all sort of knowledge about your game. Like what kind of game is it, what kind of genres you are choosing to build the game upon, what kind of mechanics does that what game is going to have, and what kind of character will it have, what kind of story will it have. So all those kind of things and all of the ideas that you have about the game itself, you can put them together into a compact and really just for the knowledge of your game. Okay, so let's say that one day you want to know everything about your game, right? You want to know every idea that you have about your game. Or maybe you're starting to develop the game and you had few ideas before. It is really possible, and it happened to me as well, that you can forget multiple ideas that you ever had about your game, and they can be amazing ideas that can actually kind of revolutionize the whole gaming industry. I don't know, maybe you have such idea, but you just forget about it because you didn't put it anywhere physically. Okay, so for that reason only, we're going to put all of these things as a physical object or physical document, and for that we create something called game design document. Okay, you can use websites like Neutrino or some other sources. Let me just search for that. Game design document. Just search for game design. Okay, that was my bad. Okay, so just search for game design document PDF, and from here you can search and go through these PDFs that have been provided to you by sources like Unity or some PDFs from actual game designers, game designing companies. And you can use these PDFs to build upon your own game design document. Okay, so these are templates which contains all kinds of value that a game design document should have. And then you can just fill them up. Okay? So before you start doing anything else, regarding your game development, I would recommend that you just go and create a document about it, and you put every idea that you have during development, before development, or even past development. Okay, you can create versions of your game, or you can create DLCs of your game. So just keep that document available and editable as easily and as early as possible. Okay? And the next requirement that I would say you would need and you should have is a timeline or a deadline stuff, okay, which contains all of the tasks that you need to do. The game design document basically contains every kind of idea that you have about your game, and this is a timeline about every task that you know that you will be putting inside your game. Okay? So like in a week, I do want to complete this prototype and be ready with this so that I can move on to creating the actual game as early as possible. So I will be making a flashlight system, an interaction system, door and keys, a monster AI, and then some save game systems and some puzzles. Okay, so I'm doing all of these things, and I have all of these tasks just for this week only. Okay, it's not much time, but I will try to do this within a week. Okay, so yeah, you can use ClickUp. I'm actually using ClickUp right here, and you can create tasks here. Like there is a complete list of tasks that you can create. You can create demos, so basically arrange everything and every task that you ever have to code in here, and use that as a idea of working forward. And also, this is a much better thing to not actually exhaust yourself. Okay, because there was a day that I worked over 12 hours. Okay, and I didn't actually finish even making the flashlight system. Oh, so I was building the flashlight system for 12 hours, and yeah, it was not even quite that polished. So what this will do, actually, it will show you that for this particular day I have to make flashlight, and I also have to make doors and keys. So instead of spending all of my time building flashlight, I would also need to make doors and keys and some bit of interaction system. Okay, so that is it for the timelining and stuff. Now let's hop into the game project and let's start building the project. Okay, so for today, this is a completely new project. I just downloaded and just manage few things over here, like I put it the files and the shortcut to the project, only that stuff, and that's it. Okay, so this is the completely new game animation sample project, and I'm going to build this game upon this. Okay, so just telling you guys before we move forward. Right. So first of all, we have to make the character or our actor a first person rather than the third person that comes with the project. Right. So we need to have a first person perspective instead of the third person perspective. So let's do that. Blueprints, character. Let me just manage things. Yeah. So over here, if we go to viewport, you can see that we have two cameras over here. And generally, right now in the project, in the gas project, we have this camera that is being used. Okay, so this gameplay camera. But I personally want to use this. You don't really have to use this camera if you don't need it. I want to use this camera because of one particular thing, and that is the post-processing that you can do just inside the camera. So you don't need a post-process volume for changing or color grading your system. It just have to be a simple camera, and that is the only reason why I'm choosing this instead of gameplay camera or something else. So let's enable this. If you go to the event hub, there is this node called setup camera that is being run on event processed client. So whenever our player controller possess this player actor, okay, so then this event is called the event possessed, and this event is directly calling this event, which is event possessed client, which is calling for the setup camera. And over here we're going to just disable this, bring it up, get our camera, and set it as active. Okay, and now there's one more thing that we need to fix. And that is this little toggle over here, which is about auto manage active camera target. So instead of like creating a completely separate manager class which contain your player controller, player camera, and changes how it behaves in the world, we have this auto manager which you can just click and it will record the camera and it will basically operate that camera for us instead of creating all of the classes and management stuff. Okay, so with that, I think we should be able to, yeah. So now we have the control of the other camera rather than the gameplay camera. Now let's move this camera towards our head. So we're going to use the spring arm, attach the spring arm to our mesh, and attach the parent socket to head. Okay, so now the spring arm is actually connected to our head. Now let's move our camera to like -15 or 20. So now the camera is like it's where our eyes should be, so yeah, something like this. If you try to play, there's the lag. There's camera lag here. Let's disable that. Okay. So we have a first-person camera, but as you can see, it's really glitchy. And I have been trying to fix this, but I never found a satisfying solution to this. If there is no clipping, and I do manage to fix this, I do manage to make it operate as a natural camera. It's just too wobbly to be called a smooth camera. Right? Our eyes don't wobble this much. Our eyes and mind perception is too good to be true. You never actually feel any bounce in the visual cue. So just to keep that in mind, we are not going to use this. And here's an easy fix, easy and quick fix. What we have to do is just make this character not being able to see by our camera or our owner. So what we're going to do is get the owner, and we're going to enable this. By this, it's going to disable all those wobbliness, and also it's going to disable any clipping because it's not portraying anything to the camera, right? So now we can run, walk, sprint, and camera is much better in my eyes. Okay? So if you want to change anything in here, maybe you want the shadows, so we can go with hidden shadow, enable that, and now we have the shadow of the character, but not the character itself, which is nice. I don't know if you want to have this, but it is nice to have something like this. So as you can see that we cannot see our legs, but you can see our shadow. A bit annoying, but in future, if I do able to find a solution to this problem where we will have a satisfying smooth camera without any problems, then yeah, I will see to it and I will also update it. Well, for now, this is kind of enough for me. And wait a minute, as soon as we enable the shadow, the wobbliness came back. Oh my god. So we just cannot render this, can we? Yeah. We cannot render anything about the suit or anything. Yeah, this way. Now there is one more thing that we can do, and that is to go inside the world settings, inside the game mode, and we can change the sandbox character, the base sandbox character, to something else. Let's go with meta-human 10. And over here, as you can see, as soon as we get inside anything else that is rendering, we get this wobbliness. So yeah, it's not a fix. So the owner, we have to enable this. Let's also bring back our sandbox character. Okay, let's start with clipping, and fix the clipping by going to the project settings and changing this to changing the clip near plane to 0.5. So now it will not clip into any of the places. something inside over here. In the animation blueprint, we have few variables that is responsible for our rotation. And if we go to our root motion offset, we can have this structure which basically asks us on which kind of rotation we want. And over here we're going to change it to release. And there is another one in the movement analysis, should turn in place. And over here we have the angle at which the character should turn to that particular direction. Okay, so we have a particular angle, and we can decrease this angle to something like 5, which will give us a much shorter, much smaller angle to move. So the character will move instantly. Okay. So now most of the things have been fixed. I think the clipping will be fixed if I just move the spring arm to like -15. Still no. As you can see, the torso is no longer okay. Yes. And then we're standing still, does clip into it. Okay, so let's fix that. Over here in camera input, we're going to drag this out and make a branch here. So this branch will control the traversal action. So when we are traversing, we don't want to do this input and output, right? So, and when we like, not exactly this input and output, we can change. We don't have to worry about it right now. We can do this at any point of time. For now, we just have to worry about one thing, and that is some calculation. Okay, so we're going to get from the action y, and then we're going to multiply this by 0.5, and then we're going to add a completely new value, which is called upper body rotation. It can be anything. You can put anything over here, but this is going to be upper body rotation. It's going to be float, and then we're going to use this as a variable that will check how much rotation do we want the spine of our actor. Okay, and then we're going to clamp this because this is going to be an angle. We're going to clamp angle, and the degrees is actually going to be just 9. So minimum degree is going to be -9, and maximum degree is going to be just 9. We might change this later, but for now it's good enough. And then the upper body rotation is going to be the exact value of this new clamp axis rotation. So if you want to know what exactly is happening over here, then let's assume, let me get whiteboard. Yeah, this is mostly about the camera controlling the spine rotation, basically. What even is this? Whatever. You can use this page over here. Okay. So let's assume that this is our character. Okay? We have a stickman character, and the camera is looking this way. Okay? And we have our mouse that controls whether this camera will look up, down, also left and right, but we're not focusing on that. For now, we're just focusing on the up and down motion. So there, our mouse controls this up and down motion. And how does it actually controls it? Is by sending values in vector form, which says to the controller that this is the value it is promoting to up or promoting to down. Okay? It can be something like -1 or +1, and the center is 0. Okay? So if it doesn't want to move, it's going to be 0, and if it does want to move, it's going to be -1 or just 1. What we are doing here, we're going to get this value like -1 or +1. This is not exactly -1 and +1, it's much bigger in some ways. And we're going to get this value, and we're going to add the previous value. Okay, so we're going to take whatever the value, the upper body value which we calculate at the end. We're going to take that previous value and this value. It's going to be previous value. And we create a new structure here. Okay? And that new structure will contain the upper body rotation. The voice is not good. Okay. Let me check. Bear with me for a minute. I will check what is actually. What kind of voice is are you getting? Like, what exactly is the problem? Because I'm getting all of the signals here, so I sound robotic. Yeah, my voice is kind of monotone. I am still working on the the speaking and muffling. That might be some other problem. Let me fix that. By the way, welcome to the stream. When I speak, my mic goes grrr. Uh, video output. Device. Hello. Let me just make this output monitor and output so I can hear myself. By the way, welcome to the stream. And I am really sorry about this. I really don't know what was happening there. And thank you for notifying me. Okay, so by the way, I don't think that you guys get any of the previous things. I guess. Let me just do the. Okay. Yeah. Nice. Now, okay. So what exactly I was talking about here was that, by the way, the voice is not coming to like 2 times, right? So because I'm monitoring it right now. Okay, it's just going to. Uh, um, is it good now? Uh, I think I should be having like stream on here so that I know how I sound like. Mhm. It's good. Nice, nice. By the way, thank you about this. Uh, okay, so yeah, let's continue. So what I was actually talking about is I was explaining how this looking is actually working here, and like what exactly are we trying to do. And so in the look we get yaw input, which moves us in the horizontal direction, and then we have a pitch input which moves us in the vertical direction. So if we get the inputs of the vertical direction and then we multiply it by 0.5, which basically breaks it down to the half of the value it originally was, and then we add this value which we will set over here. This is basically to make sure that we have a continuous value. Like, let me show. So firstly we had, let's say, 18. Okay, so the angle of our look or our hand angle is 18 right now, and we add, let's say, plus to it, right? We add 2 more of the angle to this. For the camera controller it will be 0 again. Okay, as soon as you stop moving your mouse it will be 0. Your camera will have no input at all, and then when you start to move it again it will move to, let's say, +1 or -1, however it likes to be, or however you moving your mouse. But in this case we actually want this value to exist somewhere. Okay, we want this value to know where we are looking, where our head is. So we need that initial, this upper body rotation, to exist somewhere inside the plane, and then we are using this rotation and adding to the this input, which is going to be +1 or -1 or however it is going to be, and then we are giving it a maximum or minimum angle. So like how far can this head of our look up or down. I'm making this for now just -9 and 9 for the minimum and maximum angles. We can change this later if we want to. For now, this I think is pretty good. Okay, and now we need to use this rotation inside our animation. So let's go over there. And let's make some bone transformations. Search for transform bone. And this node can change scale, rotation, and translation of a bone. So you can move the bone wherever you want. So let's say that this skeleton over here. So let's say that these are the bones that we have. We can rotate them however we want, right? And we can also scale them if we want to. And one more thing that we can do here is we can change its location. Okay, so we can change these properties of a single bone, and Yes, it is really cool because you can change all of these settings, all of these properties in real time inside the game using your animation blueprint or even your character blueprint if you want to. I'm just going to default everything, and let's move back to our character. So first of all, we have this bone, and we need to give which bone do we want to transform. So it's going to be all of these spines, right? Because we are moving, we can move our just our head, but if you go back to the default level, there is some problem. Let me just connect this so we can visualize. So over here, if we look down, as you can see, we are clipping into our body, right? We are kind of clipping inside our torso. So we want to not be able to do this. And to not be able to do this, we want to move our spine instead of our neck. So that is the basis of why we want the spines to be here instead of neck or the head bone. So we're going to choose spine 1, and then we're going to choose all of them. So we need more of these nodes. So let's just connect them. And now we just need rotation, right? We are just rotating it up and down. So we don't need translation and scale. So we can close that by going over to this pin and disabling exposed pin to all of them. Also the same with scale, and done. Now the rotation is going to be updated by this value over here. Okay, so we're going to get that value inside of our blueprint. So go inside event graph, and let's go over here and let's a sequence, and let's update it. So we're going to get the reference of our character, which is over here, and then we're going to get upper body rotation. Right click, promote to variable. And the reason we are doing this over here then rather than anywhere else is because just like event tick, the animation blueprint have its own update event which runs automatically every single frame. So to have any kind of updation happening inside this, we can just use this node and have everything happening according to us. By the way, if you're using this game animation project and stuff, don't put your logic behind this node because this thread save can fail and maybe it's true or something. So just to be sure, put this right after the branch. Okay, compile, save. Sound good. Now let's start updating the rotation. We're going to get the body rotation and we're going to make a rotator. Specifically, if you just make a rotator, it's going to go with the default X, and that's what you want. You don't want to worry about anything else, and we can just attach everything to here. This X particularly do means that you have to move, or do you want to move in this direction, or you can go over here and look right here. If you rotate this, then the X value over here, this X value role is going to change this rotation. Okay, so that's what we need to focus on, and that's what it is doing by default. So nice. And now we can attach all of these things. It's going to create this local to component because these are component based node, and the other ones are local nodes that just exist for the animation graph or performing animation algorithms. Okay, so there are some warnings. Let's fix them. Oh, yeah, I didn't specify other spines, so let's do that. Spine 3, spine 4, and spine 5. Save everything, compile again. Again, there is rotation. Oh yeah, we haven't changed anything. So now we do have a rotation, right? We do input some kind of rotation, but if you go over here in the rotation section, we are just ignoring the rotation mode. So instead of the ignore, we're going to add to the existing. Also, if you see over here, replace the existing, it's going to do the same thing as the mouse that we have here. Okay, so similarly as mouse, which goes from 0 to 1 or 0 to +1, it will also replace all of those value with whichever the new value is. So it's not going to go above 18 to 20 or something, or it's not going to go over from 5 to 6. It's just going to go from 0 to 1 and then again 0 to 1 and then again 0 to 1. I think you should be able to understand that. If you don't understand anything, you can just tell me. Also, for the people who are watching the live replay, you can still comment down and I will answer most of the comments. So I answer all of them. Okay. Okay, so this much is done. Let's test it out. So as you can see, we can look down and now there is no torso clipping, and we can look up and down, up and down. And if you look at the shadow, if this is a print, or we can go to the or you can go to this side, which you can see that the character is moving. I am a beginner in game development, so it is possible, but good way to learn. Yeah. By the way, if you are a beginner in the game development and you are choosing Unreal Engine, I think this project can be a little bit intermediate and a little bit much more what I say, complicated, because the animation is kind of complicated in here. All of the other things I'm going to do as beginner as possible, but as beginner friendly as possible. But for the animation and character, I'm using this because it have fluid motion. By the way, if you are using this project, you don't have to worry about anything. You can just hop in and you can follow me, okay? Or you can follow other YouTubers. It's not that difficult. You can make your own system by then, and I think it's also a really good way to, or a really good challenge to put yourself forward to. Okay, so for now, the rotation is done. I think the camera is also done. And I think the next task that we should be doing is flashlight, right? It's a horror game and we're still spending time on character. Why? Well, anyways, first of all, let's make the chamber where we're going to test out our flashlight. So we're going to make it using these blocks over here. By the way, do you guys want to know the shortcuts that I'm using here? Should I enable them at the bottom? Like all of these shortcuts of copying and duplicating stuff. Hey, how have you learned game development? By making games or watching? I will say by both of them. I have watched a lot of things, but I will say that I did try to watch tutorials. I followed all of those tutorials, and I didn't learn a thing. I forgot how to create the character by the end of the tutorial series or whatever. And I forgot like how to create animation blueprint completely. Like I didn't know what animation blueprint actually does. I didn't even know like how you can add animation into a state machine. Okay, okay. Let me just get the thing. If I have, I don't think I do. But let me search. Do I have keybase? Mm-hmm. It says reconnecting. Thank you. Thank you. And I will support you as well because I will be creating this whole game live. Okay. So you will be able to see what actually goes into the game development. So, yeah. By the way, thank you for that. I do really appreciate your support. By the way, forgive my English. I'm not a native speaker and I don't have keywords. Why not? Okay. By the way, OBS is disconnecting and reconnecting. So sorry about that, but the internet sucks. Anyways, keywords. By the way, if you want to know how you can learn Unreal Engine game development, I will recommend going with either, I think, Goraka Games. He have like full-on tutorial series about almost everything. So you can go with him, and I would say before anything else, go with Unreal Engine Sensei. He will actually tell you everything about Unreal Engine. And if you have that much knowledge, then I will just say forget about tutorials and make your own game, make your own algorithms, start working on them. And if you feel like it's not working out and you're kind of stuck there, then you can go and search for things that you need. By the way, wait a minute. Do, do, do. We're Are you experiencing buffering? The internet is really slow right now. I don't know why. Uh, Where did the chat go? Right? Oh my god. I think right now the connection is good. Sorry about that. I'm really sorry about that. I have to contact the provider. I cannot find the playable stuff here. Keyword. Let me put it back. Keywords. Yeah, we can also download it by that. Okay, I'm back. I just have to go much deeper. Anyways, where is the Unreal Engine? So it is actually downloading right now, and once it like gets downloaded and everything, I will be enabling all of these shortcuts. But for now, if I can't tell you which shortcuts I'm using right now. So like for duplicating, so make sure first of all that you are inside the movement or rotation mode, and then you can duplicate this. First, let me make this. Wow. My ADHD is okay. Nice. Why is it over there? First stream. Everything is going wrong. Display this way. A margin is kind of there, right? Yeah. Duration less than, I think 4 seconds is good. Animation speed, good. Color, I will change them after the stream. Okay, so disappear. Why is it sticking? 4 seconds is too much. 2, I guess. Yeah. So to actually copy anything, you select it, be in rotation mode, let's say, and you can press Alt and drag to have your duplicate, and then we can select both of them, increase their height, and we can select both of them. While both of them being selected, we can duplicate them again and move it over here. Okay, nice. And now we're going to make a shield. Okay, so we're going to make a light shield. So if I decrease this wall, if I make this space over here for our character to go inside and look around, it have, like, as you can see, this window of light going inside. So we're going to just make a shield by using another wall. Again, using Alt, we copied it, and then we can move it to this side. I think this should be like this, so that I can actually operate it over here rather than over there. Okay, and now let's make a roof. Over here, if you have any object flying or you are moving it in air, you can place it to the nearest or the lowest, no, the highest point in the world. So under this object, so we have this object right here, and under this object we have this wall, right? And the topmost point of this wall is the topmost so over here basically, right? And I do want this wall to land at exactly on top of this. So what we can do is, while moving it, we can press and it will snap to that position, and then just leave your click. Did it call for the end? It didn't even call for the end. What kind of key measure is this? Ha. Okay, let's move this and fill up the ceiling. Okay, let's test it out. There should not be a single light particle inside. Hey, nice. Oh, there will be this fog. You cannot get away with this fog. Unless you do get away with this fog. I mean, not exactly. Let me just show you what you can do. Just let's move this onto the side. And in this game animation sample, there is a actor over here called level visuals, this one. Okay, and this contain all kind of visual aspects of your project, and it contains exponential height fog, and we're just going to delete this. We cannot delete this, so we're going to go inside visuals and delete this that way. Okay, now compiling. Where's the target? I don't want to do this. Wow. Break everything. Yeah, that is gone. Let me just add something else then. Which we're going to completely delete the visuals. And if I go over to my launcher, there's something called ultra dynamic sky. Okay, this is a paid stuff, by the way, so I'm just telling you guys right now. I'm going to use this and add it to horror project. Okay, ultra dynamic sky basically have weather system and sky system for us, and you don't really have to worry about all of those fog and anything else basically. Let's go back and let's add that project. Blueprint, map, material, meshes, particles. Oh, blueprint. Add both of these things. Okay, we're here. Let me just move one this here. The weather is going to be clear sky. And now we have a sky, basically. And wow. Okay. I'm sorry about that. We have to fix few things. We have to go inside the ultra dynamic sky. And over here we're going to search for exposure, because and what exactly is happening is that outside there's light, right? So we need less exposure. When we go inside, there is no light, so we need more exposure. So the program automatically increases the exposure so that we can see much better, which is pretty good. Like, it's a good system, but we don't want it because for other reasons. It breaks the shadow. All right, man. You two have a great day, and thank you. And also, see you in the next live. Or if you have any other questions, you can ask inside the live replay or anytime you want. Okay? I will be making other videos and tutorials, so you can follow them. My channel is all about helping devs. I hope I am helping devs. But yeah, it was nice meeting you, and thank you for everything. You helped me out in the stream. And yeah, catch you up next time. All right, so now we can move on to exposure setting. Let's go over to the dynamic sky again. And let's go over to the exposure, and we're going to change this exposure to manual, and then 10 to all of them, to all of the 3, by the way. You can change them later. Is it too bright? I think it's too bright. Let's go down to 8, 8, 8. And this is in middle. I don't like it, but you have to test the flashlight anyway. Okay. So now if we go inside, there is no fog, there is no light bleeding or exposure being increased by itself. So now we can go inside our character and make a flashlight. Over here, we're going to add a key event, and this key event run every time we press a specific key, and then we want this to run on F. So every time we press F, we want to enable light. But before we enable light, let's create the light. We're going to add a spring arm, which is going to act as our own arm, and we're going to attach this to our camera. Okay, and the location of this is going to be around our shoulder, somewhere here. Nice. And now we can rename this to flashlight arm, and we can add a spotlight. Make sure of the location, rotation, scale, everything. And now go back to the flashlight arm, and we're going to make the target arm length to be -10. Okay, now let's test it out. So we have this flashlight over here, but it's really weak. It's not going too far, and it might add a eerie environment, but I don't personally like this setup with the flashlight because you cannot see anything in the room right now. So we're going to increase the intensity and the radius of this spotlight. So we're going to increase the radius to fullest. Then we're going to increase the intensity to around 50,000. We're going to also introduce a inner cone that will act as like fall off. Okay, so this circle, the center circle, okay, the light intensity is at its highest in this inside circle, and then it creates a fall off effect to the outer circle, and then after the outer circle it's completely black. Okay, so let's see how it looks like every time. So even standing here, we can see the end of this hallway, right? It might be less eerie, it might be less horrifying, I would say, but it's much better visually, because if you see, not like this. Okay. So if you see over here, we have completely blacked out areas. We cannot see anything here, and then we can see everything here. And this kind of add a contrast to the visuals. Okay, this kind of creates a connection inside the player and the emptiness. Now the player is kind of curious to what is going to happen if he moves. Okay, the character or the player feels safe. Okay, he feels safe right now, that in front of him anything that he's seeing is normal. But as soon as he wants to move, now it's not really that safe anymore, right? Like, we can move, but there's always this question: will there be something behind me, or will there be something just left or right of me, because I cannot see anything there. Okay, so that's why I want this kind of flashlight, which gives the player both of the worlds. They give them a safe feeling and also a eerie feeling at the same time. Okay, now let's make this toggleable. No, but what should be the name? Toggling. We want to just enable and disable the flashlight. So we're going to do that by F, and from when we press it, we're going to create a branch, and this branch is going to have a condition, and the condition basically says, is flashlight, is flash on? Okay, so we want to know, is the flashlight on or off? If it's on, if the flashlight is on, which means it's true, we want to turn off the flashlight. Okay, or if the flashlight is off, we want to turn on the flashlight. So let's put this here and put this one here. Okay, so flashlight on, true. Flashlight will be off. Flashlight false will be true. After this, we're going to get our spotlight, and we're going to set the intensity of it. So set intensity, and it's going to be, while it's off, it's going to be 0, and while it's going to be turned on, it's going to be 50,000. Okay, let's test it out. So we have our flashlight on by default, and if you press F, it turns off, and when we press F again, it basically turns on and off uh, every single time. Okay. The next thing that I want is a little bit of sound effect, right? Right now we can turn it on and off. It is kind of visually telling us that the light is on or not. But I also want a sound cue which will establish that yes, I just turned on the light, or yes, I just turned off the light. And to do that, we just have to drag from here and add a play sound 2D. And if you're using gas project, then you will have a flashlight sound here. Okay, so this flashlight switch is available here, so you can get that. If it's not available, you can go to other places, other some places who do provide you with mechanical or environmental sounds. Now you can play, and if you press F, it turns on and off, and it also sends a sound cue that yes, on, off, on, off. Nice. Now that the flashlight is done, we're going to work on the doors and stuff. Okay, so we let me just go over here and wait a minute. Yeah, let's just work on doors for now. We're going to go over here, turn on the flashlight to be complete, and then we're going to work on the doors and keys now. So by default, you will not have any doors or anything inside your project, so we're going to add them. So add the content and pack, starter content, add to project. Okay, and now this will have a door for us. So we will have a frame and a door. Okay, by default they will not work that well, right? So we need to make a actor that behave as a door rather than whatever this is. Okay, so let's work on that. I'm going to go inside the content folder, right click, make a new folder called project files, and over here we're going to create world actors. But before the world actors, I think we should, yeah, so we want to interact with this, right? We want to interact with the door to tell it when it should be opening up or when it should be closing, right? And for that purpose, I'm going to use a plugin. Again, this is a paid plugin. If you want to use this, you have to pay for it, but I'm going to use the customizable interaction plugin. Okay, this gives us most of the things like widgets and interactability. It provides us with a basic interactability between the character and the actor. Okay, so we're going to set this up by going to project settings, selecting this, and doing some value changes here. We're not making game for any of those things. We just want to make for Windows The default is going to be mouse and keyboard. The generic game name pad is going to be the default game pad name is going to be generic. And controller data, gamepad, and keyboard. And also enable the input support key. Okay, and now we can restart. We have to restart for this. Let's wait while this is working. Also, I think, yeah, this is the second thing that I have to do. The other thing was puzzle framework, but I have to work on puzzle framework kind of like behind the scenes for this one. Like I have to do this on physical paper and pen, so I cannot really show that here. Okay, so let's start building this. So first of all, we're going to create a world actor, and over here we're going to create a blueprint class called actor, and it's going to have a name called door. Okay, and this door, let me put this over here, and this door will have this frame and this SM door as its components. And we're going to just place it at the right position like this. The next thing that we want is to disable any kind of collision with this frame. Okay, so going to go inside door frame, go inside collision, and no collision. And we're going to go over here, and this particular mesh, if you double click on static mesh, it doesn't contain any kind of player collision. It's empty. So we need to create a player collision by going over here and a box simplified collision. That's it. Now that much is done, we're going to move the door into the door frame, and then we're going to add a physics constraint. Okay, and this physics constraint is going to be inside the door frame as well. Okay, so this is what's happening right now. We have a physics constraint component that will control the physics of the door, and we have a SM door that will collide with the player, and then we have a door frame that just collectively contain all of these things but doesn't collide with anything. Okay, so let's move the physics component, physics constraint somewhere over here, and now as you can see, this is a sphere. It moves in all of the directions, so we need to stop it moving from all of the direction and just keep the angular direction of the door. Okay, so first of all, go inside the component name and exactly name the object that you want to control. So in this case, it is SM door. Then the next thing that we want to control is the angular limits. The first limit is going to be, is it the first limit? Yep. And second as well. Yeah. And for the twist, we're going to move it 90 degrees. And it's going to be limited. And inside the twist, we're going to name this around, wait a minute, no, it should be logged and this should be limited. Yes, something like this. And this I'm going to make around 110. So now what exactly is happening is that this physics constraint is controlling this door so that this door can only move in this direction and only move this much. Okay, that's the thing that is actually happening over here. The next thing that we want to do is add a dumping to this. So angular dumping right now is 0, so it's kind of, if it is 0, that means it's infinite. Okay, so we're going to create 3 over here. We can change this if it doesn't look good. For now, we're going to keep it as 3. And now we need to change few more settings inside the physics constraint. Over here in this slurp, we're going to make it twist and swing, enable swing, and strength is going to be same one. Now let's test it out. Okay. Well, we don't have door. Him. So if the player moves, wait a minute, what we didn't do. Ah, I know. The door doesn't simulate physics, so we need to do this. Now it did open up, but is colliding with the floor. So how we can disable the collision with the floor and not with anything else? We can do that by just going over to the floor, and as you can see over here inside the static mesh, the collision type is world dynamic. It's not world static, it's world dynamic. And we just need to disable that collision from here. So go to the custom and disable world dynamic. And now it should be able to open up nicely. Okay. It still swings a lot, so maybe increasing the dumping ratio like 20. Yeah, but as you can see, even though it is working nicely and we are able to go through it, it's still kind of harsh on us, right? I don't want this to be that forceful on someone who is trying to go through this. So to fix that, we're going to create a collider. Okay, so we're going to create a box collision, and that box collision will be over here somewhat like this. Basically detecting if the player has entered the door or not. It's not even going to detect the player. It's just going to detect if something is entering it or not. So on begin overlap, we're going to get the door and set angular dumping to be 0. So if something is overlapping with it, we're going to set the dumping to be exactly 0. Okay, and then we're going to do another thing on and overlap. So when we add the overlap, we will set this angular dumping again, and this time we're going to set it to 20 or anything that you want. Okay, so now if we try to go, it is still much forceful. I think we can decrease the strength, right? So for that, we're going to get the physical constraint, set angular strength, swing limit. No, yeah, we cannot set the strength. Okay. 1 minute. Okay, I'm back. Yeah, so for this angular dumping ratio and these things, we're not really going to. Uh, this feels harsh, right? It is trying to always come back to the station. So maybe you can permanently swing and twist. target orientation, we want it to be about 20. It feels much more natural, and this is just going to be a physics door instead of like the actual interactive door. So this is just normal physics interaction. I think it should be this hard because I don't want the player to choose this as their initial option. What I actually want them to choose is to interact with this. So if we go over here, we're going to get interactable. This comes with the you know, the what was that? It comes with the plugin, the interaction plugin. And we're going to move this again into the SM door. This is going to be plain, by the way. Okay. Now this interactable, it's going to be placed right on the doorknob. Okay. And then we're going to go over here and change a few settings in here. Firstly, we need to change the data. This is just a door. No tooltip text. And hover distance is going to be 100. And the interaction key, yeah, we have to create a interaction key. Right click, new folder, systems, right click, new folder, interaction, right click, a new interaction key called simple key consumed after interaction, and then we're going to give it IA interact. Okay, and then we want to have a widget that will display everything, and the widget is going to be, let me make it a separate window and go inside engine, plugins, something, somewhere, interact with this one, blueprint, UI, indicator, and I want this one right here. We're going to get this and move into the systems and interaction. We're going to copy it and rename this to simple interaction widget. Okay, now go inside the door and select these things. First of all, simple key, press, and simple interaction widget. That is it. Now we need to create a definition for this plugin inside our character so that it knows that we are trying to interact with it, or we are close to the interaction point. So we're going to go inside blueprint, our character, going to add interactor, and we're also going to add the IA interaction, IA interact, and then we're going to set a interaction input. and the key is going to be simple key. Compile, save, and press. Okay, let's test it out. So as you can see, there is this symbol that shows us that we can interact with something, right? And now over here we have E option, and we can interact with this. To see if we are interacting, if we are pressing the E and something is happening, we're going to go inside interact and call for print string. And every time we say E, hello, 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 hello. Okay, nice. Now there is few things that we need to do for the door to open up. Okay, so the first thing that we want to do is set this. If you come to the constraint, we want to set this angle at which it is moving to something over here. Okay, so it knows to directly move to that position, or we want to make the door's initial position to be this. Okay, so we want this to be its yeah, we want that to be its position basically. Now let's go to the physics constraint, and over here, instead of the 110, we're going to make it 100 only. And now inside here, we're going to change the angular offset. So over here in the angular offset, if you move the Z value, as you can see, the disk moves, right? So you want to move the disk to either Z negative 100 or positive 100, depending on which way is our actor standing on. Okay, for that we can have another box. Duplicate this, and we're going to move this onto one side. It's going to be pretty big box in these two. Okay, so this will tell us whether the player that we are interacting with is on this side of the door or on this side of the door. Okay, so we're going to get on begin overlap, and we're also going to get on end overlap. Okay, and this is going to set a Boolean value called character position, and it's going to be a integer. On character begin overlap, going to make this 1, I guess. Let's go with the physics constraint and let's see. So we want to have this value, which is negative 100. So if the player is standing in this cube, we want the character position to be negative, yeah, negative 100. And if he ends the overlap, we want it to be positive again. And the default value of this is also going to be positive 100. Nice. We can move this to side. Now in the interactable, we're going to use this character position to set the offset. So get this, we're going to get the physics constraint, and then we're going to set angular orientation target for offset. It is orientation targeting. Yeah. And break down this one, and we're going to directly connect this. Let's check it out, shall we? Okay, that was that was not intentional. Let's move it. Let's turn it back to 0. Also, one more thing. We are setting this up, right? But we want to know if the door is open or not, right? So we're going to go over here, make a boolean value called open. Okay, so if the door is open, we don't want to do this. I mean, we do want to do this, but not exactly this. The values are going to be 0, 0 in all of them. Okay, so that if the door is open and we interact with it, we basically close it. And if the door is closed and we interact with it, we open it up. Okay, so now we can set this open value as well. So on open, it's going to be false, and on false, it's going to be open. Now if you interact with this, it's not exactly moving. Okay, we need to do one more thing. After this, we're going to get SM door, and we're going to add impulse to it on the x-axis. We're going to just add a 5 value of impulse on here. And the reason we are doing this is to make it start moving, because right now, as you saw before, when we just interact with it, it didn't move anywhere. But when we actually pushed it, it then opened up and stayed open. So we're just giving it a impulse so that it start moving, and then it will get back to its initial position. So if you press E, it opens up that way. Go over there, press E, closes, and if you press E from this side, it opens up the other way. Nice. And that is the basic door interaction. Now there is one thing that I want to add, which is key system. We want to have certain keys to open up certain doors. And to have that system, we want to create a key code. Okay, so every door will have a key code responding to a key existing in the world. Okay, so we're going to go inside the content drawer, and we're going to create a new actor called key. This can be a basic cube or plane. I prefer a cube. And make it smaller, I guess. And this key will have some default values. Okay, so this key will have a key value. let me just say, so it's going to have the key code right here. Okay, it's going to be an integer, and it's going to be instance editable and also expose on spawn. Okay, and now what we're going to do, inside the door we're going to get a variable called key actor, and this key actor is going to be key, not this key, but this key, the object reference. We're going to bring it over here, and from here we're going to get key code. And we're going to set this key code to whatever the key code that the other key have. Okay, and we're going to make this instance editable. So what is actually going to happen here is that this key, this door, requires a key to open it up, and over here we can select which key does this door requires, and we can add this key over here, and this key have a key code which we can change, like 5555, and now this door will open up only when there is a key with the code 555 inside our inventory. Right now I'm not making a complete inventory system. I'm just creating a array of data that have all of the keys inside one place. Okay, so we're going to go inside sandbox character, and not sandbox character but key, and we're also going to make this interactable. Select the interactable, move it up, placeholder text key, door key, no other text. This is going to be 100. This is going to be simple key, this is going to be press, and this is going to be simple interaction widget. And on interact we want to send a information to our sandbox character. We're going to do that by camera data, inside data, going to create a new interface, BPI player interaction. Okay, and now this player interaction will have few functions that we can run, which can also have some inputs for us to use. Okay, so over here inside the functions, I'm going to create a new function called get consumable or pick up item. Okay, inside the item we're going to have the name of the item, which is going to be key in this sense. Then we're going to have what exactly does this key have, so we're going to add a value of an integer over here. Yeah, compile and save everything, and over in key we're going to call for this pickup item. So we need to give it a name. I'm going to call this battery. No, not battery, the key. And the value we're going to give it is whatever the key code is. Okay, and the target is going to be get player pawn. Okay, nice. And now every time we interact with this, we get this key and we store it inside an array. So also we need to destroy the actor after we do so. Let's go to the sandbox character and let's perform the algorithm on that event. So we're going to call for BPI, player interaction. Inside the interface, now we can add the pickup item. Okay, and now every time we do this, we're going to switch on name. So switch on string. And right now we only have one thing called key. So every time there is an element that contains this name, it will perform this action. If there is something else called maybe, let's say, case 0, then it will perform this action. So we break off this linkage. I'm going to delete this, and then inside the key, we're going to do few stuff. But to make it clean, to make it much natural, what we're going to do is, instead of using it like this, compile and save, we're going to go inside the player interaction and we're going to add a output here, the boolean value to be success. And what this will do, it will create a function instead of an event inside our event graph. So with the function, then we can use this function to furthermore change, like have a complete web of algorithms and stuff, and doesn't make a mess on the event graph basically. So what we're going to do here is from here going to switch on name, switch on string. The string is going to contain an element called key and no default pin, and while the key is being called, we're going to create a variable called key codes. Okay, it's going to be an integer and a type of array. Compile, save. We're going to grab this and add unique. And what we are adding goes here. So we can have, if you have a function inside of event graph, this is also a kind of a benefit, which we can do is right click and call for value, get value. And this is basically the same value here. So the blueprint is much cleaner than before. Okay, and then we just have to add this to the return node. Compile, save. Now what we are going to do, every time we are trying to interact, we want to check, does the key code, this key code, exist inside this array of elements inside our character? Okay, so does our character have any of these key codes? So every time we interact, we are going to check that before doing anything else. So we're going to make another branch, and we're going to how do we do this? Yeah, I think it should be another thing, which is going to be get player elements. Okay, and this element will contain key codes. We can use this to save games as well. For now, it's just this. Oh, by the way, this is going to be a output. Okay, nice. Compile and save everything. Go back to the sandbox character and get player element. We're going to just attach this. File, save. Go to door. And then from here, we're going to call for get player elements. The target is going to be the, wait a minute, yeah, the target is going to be our get player pawn, and now we're going to check this stuff. We're going to check with for each loop, does this key code that we have is equal to the array element over here. Okay, so we're just going to check that, and if it is, then we want to move forward, and if it's not, it completes it and there is none of these key codes, I'm going to create another branch, same thing. Okay, so if it completes it and there is no code inside there, we're going to go for print string get a key to open the door. Okay, so now we can go over there and let's try it out. So E, get a key to open the door. Don't have the key, so we can go over here, grab the key, and now if you come back, door opens up. Nice. Now we can make a locking and unlocking session, like first you unlock the door, then you open it up. So to do that, we can what do we do? So it should be true, but it should not open up directly. And we can do one thing. What we can do is we can create a sequence, and this whole thing is happening at first, but it have a do once. Okay, so it have this do once thing that we can say that you should start closed, you should not work until and unless we reset you, right? And in the then we're going to have a print string called door unlocked, and it's going to reset everything. Okay, also after adding this impulse, we're going to reset it again. Hey, let's test it out. E, get that key. Door unlocked. Door opened up. Now it is printing that, so we can add another do once over here, which never resets. Hey, So we made a simple interaction system where we unlock the door with a key, we open and close the door while the door being completely physics object. You can actually pass through it. But there is one thing that we haven't fixed yet, which is door is closed. We cannot open it up right now. But if we go through it, it opens up for us. So how we can fix that is pretty easy. You just have to go to the event begin play, or you don't even have to go to the event begin play. You just disable simulate physics, and once you unlock the door over here, you simulate the physics again. So get the SM door and set simulate physics to be true. Yeah, now we cannot get through it, but if we unlock the door, then we can get through it. Yeah, and we can also open it up like this. Nice. So that is it for this live. I'm going to take a break now and work on some other projects. Not other projects. I'm actually going to work on the puzzle framework now. I did made a basic interaction system. I did made the doors and keys. I did made flashlight. I think in the next episode I'm going to build the battery system for this flashlight, so it is not open up, like it's not on forever. And if you guys doesn't really like the battery, then you can tell me. I will fix that. I will maybe make it fun to have a battery system rather than a punishment to have it. Okay, so that was it for this live. I hope you guys had fun, because I really had fun. And thank you for everyone that joined the stream, and I hope even in the live replay you get the value that I really want to provide here. Okay, so see you in the next live, and if you want to hop on the live, and if you want to know when I will be live every single day, so I will not be live every single day, but mostly I will stream from Monday to Saturday, and not on Sundays, but I will stream from Monday to Saturday on 9:30 a.m. UTC. Okay, Universal Time. I will stream on 9 a.m. and 30 minutes. 9 a.m. 9:30 a.m. Okay, so yeah, that was it for today. I hope I think I said everything. Well, anyways, see you in the next live. Meet you in the next video. Bye bye.